Back to part 2 of the semester. I did put up a note, an announcement last week saying it would be nice to have some feedback so that I can improve on what's not working for some or all of you. Haven't heard back again. So again, the assumption is that it is working, right? So unless you tell me what's not working for you, I assume it's working. And then when it comes to exams and assignments, then the blaming starts, right? I don't understand and you don't teach well and things like that, which is not right. So unless I get feedback from you, I can't improve. Positive feedback is wonderful, but negative feedback, with, with respect, is perfectly fine. I'm ready to change things if something doesn't work for me. Okay? But I have to know. Unless I know, what do I do? Like I assume that things are going okay. So assignment 2 marks are up on Blackboard. Most of the class did very well, but took the flow chart and the pseudocode very lightly, I would say. Those were the easiest marks to get, easiest, 5-minute job each. And I think half the class didn't even submit it, and the other half was 50-50. So 50% did well and 50% maybe just submitted pseudocode or just submitted flowchart or was just not right. So I'm not sure why you took it so lightly. And as I said, they were the easiest to get. There was nothing you had to do in it. My examples were already on Blackboard. I'd already done main method with you for arithmetic operations. Copy and paste and change the name. But anyway, like just so that you know that every mark counts and it is 15% worth of your mark. So if I've asked for 3 things, I'm looking for 3 things. And if you don't give it to me, then you're losing marks unnecessarily. So that made me a little sad. Easiest marks to get, not even submitting it or not submitting it correctly. And examples are on Blackboard. All you had to do was look at them. But that's what I can force you to do. But on the whole, the logic-wise, the program-wise, it was good. I'm satisfied with what's the class is doing. So I congratulate you that you are doing your job, hopefully, right? You're doing practice and you're doing it yourself is the main thing, and not collaborating or asking somebody else to do it. The exam will tell me the true story. With assignments, I can make out a lot because I don't know how and what's happening, but the exam will tell me. So I'm hoping to start marking the exam from today or tomorrow. I've just finished my Java, bless you, and I still have to do the math. So I'm overwhelmed with 200 assignments, but I get there, right? So you will get I'm doing it in time. I'm not behind my time schedule, but I need to do it more. It's just that there's so many of them and Java takes a lot of time. It takes me almost half hour, 45 minutes to mark it, give you my feedback so that you don't do it again. And I'm hoping that you read my feedback. How many of you do read the feedback? Not bad. 50% of the class does it. I'm satisfied, right? It takes a lot of time to put each and everything there so that you exactly know where you lost your mark. Okay. And I've put my solution on Blackboard, my flowchart on Blackboard, my pseudocode on Blackboard, my comments and my feedback on your rubric, and you can compare the two and see, oh, this is where I lost marks. Though again, my feedback is kind of almost complete, right? If you still have issues and you don't understand what I'm trying to convey in my feedback, it would be best to come and see me personally because I can't write more. You know what I mean? Like if you email me, I've already told what I wanted to say. So I don't know what else to say. So if you really want to see me, you're most welcome to come and appeal for your mark. It's your right. You can come and appeal for your mark and say, oh, Anju, why? And I'll explain, right? And I may be wrong. And yeah, that makes more sense now that you say it. And in a couple of assignments, I do write back. I don't understand what you're saying. So maybe it would help if you will come and tell me what's going on, right? So you're most welcome to come and see me in one of my office hours. Please try to make an appointment because things are going on. I'm kind of busy with issues in my office hours. So if you make an appointment, then I know, okay, so this person is coming and I can give the appointment to another person. Till now, nobody ever turned up. So I was always there. But I have a few issues going on with assignment 2 and I have to kind of figure them out. Okay. So where are we now? We know how to write methods. I would like to emphasize a few things about class variables and local variables, about the type of the variables. about the use of methods and why and how should we use them. Specifically, one of them in assignment 2, where you were calculating the target heart rate. One was 50%, one was 85%. You just need a method, not two methods to do the same job. The job is the same. Take the maximum heart rate and multiply by 0.05 or 0.85. The job is the same, right? It's doing the same job. But I think only one student out of 70 wrote one method and called it twice with different values. And that's what you should do. The whole purpose of method is this. Keep it in your head. A method should be independent. That's rule number 1, right? So all input that it requires comes via parameters, and whatever it calculates, it returns via its return statement. That's the communication, right? So you don't declare class variables and say, oh, there you have all the information in the class variables. I read it in another method. I read the name in the get name. Now body or height and weight and BMI, you can use it now. That's not how it works, right? It's not that everything becomes local, global at the class level and everybody can see it. That's not how methods work. That's not the way we write methods. The use of methods is writing them independently. Like I write a method and I can give it to you and you should be able to use it, right? I don't rely on what are your local variables or your global variables. And you don't rely on what are my class variables. So when I write a method, I take all input that the method requires in the parameter list. And whatever I do in the method, I return via the return string. And that's how you have to write methods and keep that in your mind, right? If you declare all your variables at the class level and say, now I don't have to pass parameters, I don't need any returns because, oh, the get height method read the height, but BMI can use it because it's at the class level. That's not how you write methods. Think of it, it would be so difficult. The whole library has thousands of classes and each class has numerous methods. If I did not have an independent method where I would say, oh, I can pass it this and get back this, I would be lost, right? So you write methods keeping that in mind. Most of you did the job, most of you. But there were a few here and there, so I can't remember who and I'm not pointing it out. So I just want to kind of reiterate that class variables are different from local variables, and all communication between the calling method and the called method should be via parameters and return value, right? What happened, Martin? Gave up? Huh? Okay. Okay, so 2. Today I'm going to also do the string class with you. We have used the string class, but we haven't used the class as per se. We just declare a variable of type string and we use it. In the assignment, because I saw a couple of students not doing the right thing for gender, when they came to me, I saw, oh, they're taking stuff from the internet, which is perfectly fine, but they're taking the wrong stuff from the internet. They're not understanding what they're doing. So I said, okay, let me give you the solution, kind of. So I pushed you in the right direction. It came 3 days, maybe a couple of days after the assignment was posted. But the intent was that you understand, oh, this is how I have to do it. So there are a couple of complaints on that issue. Why are you giving us tips after 2 days of the assignment? I don't have to. I'm just trying to help you so that you can think in that direction. So again, most of the class did that right. There is a little difference between how you read characters and how you read strings. Character is a single value. And the gender said you can take input, but you have to restrict it to M or F only. That's it. Now, logically, even if you think about it logically, you would say, oh, I take input from the user. The first thing I should check is it's only of size 1. The length is only 1. It can be male, for example, or it can be Monday, for example. It has to be of size 1, logically, right? It is of size 1. And now the next thing is it an M or an F? That's the logic, if you kind of think about it. But I think some students just kind of searched on the web. They got something character at 0. They said, oh, I'm picking up whatever you give me. I'll pick up the first character. And if it is an M or an F, my job is done. That's incorrect. If I give a Monday and you pick up M, that's not male. You know what I mean? So when I saw people doing it wrong and a few people were doing it wrong, I said, let me give a tip. And let's just, because they've used strings, they are familiar with strings, I'll say, here, use a string and use this method. So I gave you the equals ignore method. So the aim is to help you think, if nothing else. right? And the other important thing is that if I do 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 in class, I'm expecting you to know 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. So you'll say, but you never taught that in class. But if I told you one thing, kind of relate it with the other thing, right? So you have to learn to do that, because in the whole world, when you go out and start writing applications, you won't write applications that I taught you. Can't happen. You will be writing all kinds of applications. So you have to put your mind, you have to open up your mind. My examples are not the only source of learning. I do something so that I can explain things. Then your job is to find more of those things and practice them. And I said that in my first week of the semester. 3 hours in class, 3 to 6 hours outside class. I know you're doing 6 subjects. I know it is difficult, but then if you have to be programmers, you have to get your foundations right. And then if you have problems, come back and I'll explain what's happening on the web that you don't understand, or I'll help you out then. But I need you to come to me and say, Anju, I'm trying this example, it doesn't work. What's wrong? Right? So in that 7 weeks before the study week, I didn't have anybody coming to me. So I'm assuming everything is going well. I'm satisfied with your code. It can be improved, and I'll try my best to point you towards that as I teach more. Right? I have very restricted time. That's my biggest problem. And especially with 2 Mondays missed with my Monday section, I really have restricted time, but I try my best. So what I'm going to now do, I'm thinking, for example, I'll do the string class with you today because it's an important class. You've seen two methods, equals and equals ignore case. I'll kind of reiterate them, but I'll use more methods of the class so that you know, oh, this, it has this method too. Oh, there's another method I can use with the string class, right? Again, I can't do all 50 of it, but I'll at least try to do 5 of them. I'll do more of for and whiles. And since I can do for and whiles forever, I'm going to give you a kind of a take home practice thing, and you can practice fors and whiles on your own. And that doesn't mean that I have to create more examples for you or I have to create questions for you. I am one of your resource and I can guide you, but there are more resources up on the web. You have lynda.com, you have tutorial points, you have all these where you can find examples. Just try to type something like examples for in Java, and you'll have thousands of sites. So the onus also lies on you. Definitely, I am trying to do my job to the best of my ability, but then you do your job and come back and I'll answer, right? But I have restricted time. I can only do a couple of things in 3 hours, but I'm always open to help you outside class. Okay? So please take your assignments a little more seriously in terms of what is asked. And those 8 marks were kind of easy, like easy. And I felt so bad. I said, I mean, they know the logic and they don't know how, they're not doing this right. But anyway, can't do much about it. So hopefully it will be a lesson to be learned for future. Right? So it's not a big thing. Out of the 15%, maybe it was 1%. So it's not a big thing, but why even lose that 1% if you can get it in 5 minutes is the main thing. Okay, so today there is nothing specifically that I'm doing. So I've called my project a very odd name. I've just called it Example Week 9, and I'll do so for my class also. But I'm trying to introduce you to the string class today, more to the string class. Till now, you've only used it like a variable type, nothing else. And we've already done equals and equals ignore case. If I get time, I'll do it. But I'm hoping since you've done it in your assignment, you know about it. If not, ask me and I'll say. But I'll introduce you to other types, okay, other methods of the class, and show you the API. API is your friend. So whenever you need a help, open the Java API and say, oh, that's the class, and that's what methods it has. And you have to learn. There are 2 parts in Java. You have to learn how to code, and you have to learn how to use the library. That's as important as writing code, because this library is rich, like rich. And every time they are adding new classes with new methods to it. Like when Java started, I knew all the classes, to be very truthful. I knew what there was in it. Now I don't, because there's no limit to it now.
Could you do one time you don't know how to use of the library?
Okay, I've kind of shown it quite a bit, but I'll again show it. I know it's overwhelming because you don't understand a few things in it, So I'll kind of do the string class and show you the library. When I do array list, I'll show you the library again. So you need the library when you use a class from the library, right? If you're not using a class from the library, you don't need it. So today we'll use the string class, and I'll open the library, go to the string class and say, see, here is the class, and this is how you use the methods. And when I do array list again, which will be a couple of weeks, I'll again open the library. So the library is what? It is a collection of classes which have been put into packages. So you've used the scanner class, right? You've used the scanner class, and I've not done much in it, but I've created a scanner object by using the constructor new, and then I use the methods in the class to read data. Next int, next line, next short, next byte. Those are just methods in the class, right? And I use them. I say name of the object dot name of the method. I'll show that too again today in the library. Okay, so both things are important. Maybe one day when you become good programmers, you will create your own class and it goes in the library. Who knows? Because all those people were programmers who have created those classes. It's an open source. So you could be one of them. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Mix and match kind of thing. I'm going to introduce you to the string methods. I'm showing you how to use the library. I'll also show you how to use the library for scanner, though maybe you're just using it with eyes closed. Maybe, right? So maybe I'll just show it to you today again. And then we'll do a little bit of for and while and writing methods, which is important. Use of constants, which was there, but half done. It was half done. So you declare your constants, but you never use them in code. The purpose is lost, right? So you say, there is the blue box, there is the red box. I know what's in them, but I'm not using them. Then the whole purpose is lost. So once you have a value in a box, now always use that box wherever you need it. In prompt messages, in error messages, in if statements, in while statements. Use it everywhere, right? So a named constant gives you a name, so it makes sense. Maximum height, minimum height, it makes sense. And now when you prompt the user, you say, please input your height in inches, and then you put those values, the minimum and the maximum, from the box. Don't write it yourself. Say, box, can you show me your value? Box, can you show me your value? If the value is less than something or greater than something, again say, what's the value in the box? That's the whole purpose of constant. You name it so that it has a name and makes meaning. And then you use that name everywhere in your code, everywhere. I did notice that you were using it in your whiles and fors, but not in your prompt and error messages. And then somebody pointed out to me, oh, you didn't use it in class, and so we didn't use it. That's okay. So I haven't docked marks for it. I haven't. I mean, it's okay. At least you're using it in for and while, but maybe when I was talking, I said it, but I didn't type it. And so everybody copied me. So only a couple of students used it everywhere. And I've said, oh, good job. You know what constants are. Right? So a named constant is a value that does not change in the program, but instead of using magic numbers like 703, 0.5, which is 50%, or 0.85, or 1, 1400, you give them names. And now when I use it in my code, if weight is less than minimum weight or greater than maximum weight, makes sense. Much better. Right? Instead of saying if weight is less than 1 and greater than 1400, magic numbers. Right? And its advantage tomorrow, whatever, if the Guinness record changes or for whatever reason, let's take a simple example, tax. Tax was less than 13% a few years back. Now it's 13%. Who knows, it will go to 15%. And it's different in different provinces, right? So I write a program to calculate tax. I write a tax calculator. And I want it to be used in Ontario and BC and wherever and wherever. All I'll do is I'll take my program, I'll create a constant called tax, put it as 0.13 for Ontario, take the same program, give it to BC or wherever, and change it to 0.15 for their program. I'll change it to 0.18 for another province. The same program is working. It's called tax everywhere, but its value is different. So instead of going through the whole program and saying, where did I use 0.15? I know it's a control F, find and replace, but it makes more sense to call it tax and use it as the name tax. It knows, oh, tax, oh, this is what it is, right? So that's the use of named constants. And once you have them, use them everywhere in your code, everywhere. Okay. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to mix things today just because like there are many things to be done. And then next week onwards, we'll start classes maybe. But I have arrays and array lists also to do. So I have limited time. I'm so stressed about it, but can't do much about it. Okay. To be very truthful, I mean, I'm as stressed as my students because it's my responsibility that I give you what you came for in this class. But I'm not your only resource. Please keep that in mind. I can guide you, I can help you, I can kind of be a mentor, but I can't do your work for you. You have to still put in the effort. Okay. So students are saying, oh, we pay money, you tell us everything. I don't think it's possible. And that's not how it works. Right? Okay, so as I said, this is a kind of a mixture of a few things. So I'm going to write a description. Another thing, now it is not necessary that you use Java doc comments. These comments, BlueJ just puts them, so I kind of fill them up. If you want to use Java doc comments, please use them correctly. If you do not want to use Java doc comments, then use your slash star and star slash or double slashes and just write normal comments. Right? So many of you did, I think, did your work in BlueJ. So you did write Java doc comments, but then out of the blue, you changed this author to A, and that's incorrect. You can do that. It has to be small a. So writing Java doc comments is an art. It's very necessary because if you don't write it, you don't have a help file for the general public. All that help that you see in the library, people have written Java doc comments for it. So I didn't place any restriction. I didn't say I wanted to see Java doc comments. I just said comment your code well. You could have used simple comments, and that was fine by me. But if you're going to use Java doc comments, use them correctly. Right? Again, I didn't dock off marks. I didn't say, oh, I was expecting you to write at param at return. I didn't do that. As long as there was a description and comments, I still gave it. Like my aim is to tell you what's wrong, but not necessarily dock off 50% for it. But a little mark, 0.25, 0.5, so that you remember the next time. Okay? Again, if you have problems with how the class is going, I would really appreciate if you would let me know. Put it on a piece of paper. If you don't want to make yourself, I can take anonymous. Give me feedback so that I can improve if there is any scope of improvement. And there is always scope of improvement. So let me know, guys, right? Let me know. I don't want to feel bad that, oh, you didn't get what you came for. And it hurts me as a teacher because I'm putting in a lot of effort. And I'm approachable. I'm not sure whether my face looks like this or something, or you think I'm too strict or I won't listen to you. I'm approachable. Come and talk to me and let me know what's going on. Okay? Okay, so let's start. So this class, as I said, it's kind of a mixture of a few things. So I'm going to say this class or this code demonstrates loops or use of loops. That's one of my jobs today. I want to talk about how you write methods, which you mostly are doing a good job. But I think a little more, not just my copying and stuff, but a little more. Are you guys warm in this room or it's just me? It is warm, right? Physical resources? Hi, Donna, this is Anju. How are you? I'm good, thank you. Donna, it's really very, very warm in K326. Yeah, we're in K326, yeah, and it's really warm. Can we have the temperature adjusted, please? Okay. Thank you, Donna. Bye-bye. Bye. Oh. Okay, so let's fill this up. So all you need is the purpose at the head of the class. And I've always said, please put your name, purpose, and date. So if you don't want to put it this way, just put it name, date, purpose. And that's fine. Okay. For me, I just kind of do it this way because it's already here. So why do the extra work? So this is November 6 today. Or again, you can go versions, version 1.1, but I ask for date, name, and purpose. So if we do more, spelling it wrong, demonstrates. It's the use of loops, use of methods, a class, still a couple of students are not following conventions. I'm just saying a couple. The name of classes, every word starts with capital letter. This is called Pascal naming convention. Hasn't changed, will not change. The whole world use it. Please use it. Okay, if you want to be Java programmers. Now, we are doing structured programming. We are still doing structured programming, which is the oldest programming paradigm that has existed. That was the first one, structured programming, or also called procedural programming. So you kind of write your code and then in one go, which is not very good if it is big, and then you kind of divide it into methods, or they were called functions or procedures in the old language. So we are still doing non-object oriented programming in Java, though Java is an object-oriented language. But the aim is I give you a base, and then once you understand, oh, I understand ifs and I understand whiles and I can sequence, I know how to write methods, then all I do is I just package it differently. And you won't have to learn anything new except packaging, nothing new, okay? So we are writing a structured program, a procedural program. So for us, we write a special method, which we call main, which has these signatures. So it's a public method. Public means it can be used from outside this class. It's static, returns nothing, is called main, and can take any number of parameters. You'll say, I've never given main a parameter. I've never done that. How do I do that? I can show it to you right today if you want. How you give, it's like just any other method. A method can take parameters and so can main. The not the advantage, the difference, the big difference is that main can take any number of string parameters, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000, as many. And therefore that square brackets with string, which is simply saying that I have a whole list. I can take a whole list of parameters. I'll show you today how to do that if you're interested. If I get time to, that's another thing, right? Okay, so let's start the first job. Class variables go here. Advantage of class variables, available to all methods. So please do not put variables here that you don't want to share with everybody. That's how you remember it. Class variable means all methods can share it. But if you do not want to share variables, and remember, variables means anybody can change it. Method 1 says, oh, I don't like you, I'll paint you black. Method 2 says, I don't like your face, I'll paint you white. That's not what you want. So only those variables go at the class level which are required by all the methods, or maybe 90% of the methods in the class. You'll say but it's not, it's a big no-no. I've already said it's a big no-no, because we always have that parameter and return relationship with methods if you want to talk to methods. So main wants to talk to a method, there is a relationship. So if I want to talk to Yolanda, I can email her, I can text her. So why would I post it here on Blackboard or post it on Blackboard, right? So a relationship can be maintained between the calling and the call method by parameters. And that's how you should maintain it, okay? So don't declare something here if you don't need it. What I can safely declare here is an object of the scanner class, because I would like to take input from the keyboard, and it's something that you really can't do much about it. Unless you're really, really destructive. If I put a pen here and I say, please come and put your attendance here, all of you will come use my pen, check your name and go on. Rarely will I see anybody breaking my pen, right? So this is safe. The scanner is safe. I need a pen to write, or I need something to read input from the keyboard. I need something. And I say, why don't I declare it at the class level? Because method A needs it, method B needs it, method C needs it. Maybe D, E, and F don't need it, but still 3 methods need it. And it's not, nobody can destroy it. You know what I mean? Like, it's there. So you can put it at the class level. So what is scanner? Scanner is a class. It's not a package. Scanner is a class that is available in this package called java.util. That's the name of the package. So because there are so many classes, the Java programming language, what it has done is like in the library. If you go to the library, English books, history books, math books, computer science books, they've kind of cataloged them, right? So similarly here in Java, the library has packages. Each package has related classes. So the java.math package will have all math related methods, right? So you just have to see where to find the class. So java.util, util standing for utilities, is the package where you will find the scanner class. So you say, I want to use it. And that's a rule. If you want to use a class from a particular package, you have to import it. The only package that you don't have to import is java.lang. And it has quite a few common things like your system.out println is coming from there. And you can use it. You haven't imported any package, but you're using println method, you're using printf method, you're using the print method. How are you using that system.out? How are you using the system class? I didn't import it because it is in java.lang, and by default, java.lang is available for you. So if you want to look at packages, see, here are the packages. Here are the name of the packages. So java.8, applet, java.awt, there's so many. And here is the java.lang. And notice what it says. It says provides classes that are fundamental to the design of Java programming language. If I click on it to see which classes it has, here are all the interfaces, which you don't know what they are, but that's okay. And here are all the classes in there. So there is a math class. So if I want to use the math class, I don't have to import any package. It's already there. Then there is the system class there. We use it, system.out.println, system.out.print. That class is coming from this package. Then there is the string class. You never included any package. You just use it. But there are some, the scanner class is not here. It's not in this package. So all these classes, Boolean, byte, character, whatever, compiler, integer, math, long, all these classes, you can just use them without importing the package, because by default, java.lang is imported. You can use it without importing. Now, if I have to use the scanner class, and I don't see it here, do you see the scanner class? Here are all my S's. No. So what do? I say, oh, scanner class, how do I find the scanner class? Of course, not everybody will know where it is. Google and see where is the scanner class, in which package. I know it because I've been using it for a while, and it is in the java.util package. So there is that package. And notice what it contains. Contains the collection framework, legacy collection classes, and so on. So if I click on it, and I kind of go to its classes, I'll find my scanner class, MNOPQRS, PQRS, scanner. There it is, here. A simple text scanner which can parse primitive types and strings using regular expressions. So that's why I need to create an object of the scanner class, because it allows me to read something, any primitive data type, an int, a byte, a short, a float, a double, or string from the user. I can read it from the keyboard, I can read it from a file, I can read it from a database, any string, right? For now, you can kind of ignore using regular expressions, because regular expressions are quite advanced. But regular expressions in a layman language is a rule. So for example, a name of a person. Till now, we've never validated a name, because it's kind of, how will you validate it? We'll say, how will I validate a name? It has validation. What can your name contain? It can have letters A to Z. It can have a blank, and it can have an apostrophe. That's it. So you can put 1, 2, 3 in your names, so you can validate it. So what you can do is you can take the input, you can check each character of the input and say, oh, are you a letter? Are you a letter? Are you a letter? Oh, you are a number 1. Oh, that's an invalid name. All that work is now done by regular expressions. So you can create a regular expression. What is a regular expression? It's just a expression. So for example, if I want to use A to Z in my names, I'll say I can use A to Z in a name. I can use capital A to Z in my name. I can use the blank character in my name. And I can use the apostrophe in my name. This is a regular expression. So I've defined what can you use in your name. If you try to use anything but these letters or whatever I've said, you'll get an error. So to create regular expressions is a big job. The easy thing about it is now you can look up on the net and say, what's the regular expression for a phone number? So a regular expression for a phone number, usually you'll get something like this. So for the area code, a digit, and a digit. Right? D stands for a digit. Then dashes are allowed. It depends. If you want to take your input like this, if you don't want the dashes, you don't want the brackets, you don't include them. Then there are 3 more digits. And then there are 4 more digits. Here is your regular expression. Now if you try to give a phone number, it is compared against this. So if I give something like Anju, it will say, Anju is not a phone number. Those are regular expressions. Email have regular expressions. How does some program knows, oh, that's not a valid email, or that's a valid email? Somebody has already created regular expressions for it. But how do you use regular expressions? What are the methods? There is a class called regular expression that's quite beyond a fundamental course. You will learn it maybe in your course 2 end or maybe in course 3, but you will learn it. So a name can be validated. We haven't validated names. We validated ages, we validated heights and weights and gender, but I've never validated a name. You may give me 1 to 3 and I'll take it as a name because it's tough to validate. So if I want to validate, I'll have to check each character, write a loop myself, check each character and say, are you a character? Are you a character? Oh, you're a blank, you're okay. You're an apostrophe, that's an okay. But remember, I can give my name like this and that's not a valid name. A, blank, N, another apostrophe, J, like even that's not valid. So where does the blank occur or how many blanks can then be and apostrophes? That's more work. And we used to do it as programmers because we didn't have a library to use. But somebody else said, okay, that's everybody needs to validate names, validate phone numbers, validate emails. So let's write a class. Let's write the regular expression, use it. The only thing what you have to learn is how to use it. That's it. So see, the library has it. You only have to use it. So today, just for today, so here is the scanner class. So because I need to use the scanner class, I import that package. Otherwise, I cannot use it. If you wanted to use all the classes from the util, there was a whole list. You put a star here. Now you can use any class from the Java util package, any class. So the star says any class from the util package can be used. Putting scanner says I'm only using the scanner class. But this is a piece of information you're telling the compiler that I will be using the scanner class or I will be using the Java util package. That's what this statement is for. Okay, makes sense? So if you want it, though it's not necessary at all, you could say, I want to import java.lang package. But that's a default. That is, you can think of that statement already in your code. It's already there. So you don't have to put it. So when you use the system class, it's coming from that package. When you use the string class, it's coming from that package. And it never complained about it. But if I try to use the scanner class and I don't import the package, it's going to complain. Here, see, it's complaining. It says, who's scanner? So if I kind of do a control K, it will say, it hasn't, okay, I'll give you the error. That's not what it should say for now. But if I kind of complete it, and I'll tell you what I'm doing in a minute. Since you've asked, you want to know how to use the library, which is a very valid question. Now, if you kind of do a control K, it will say, I cannot find scanner. Who is scanner? Like, I don't recognize scanner. It is a class, I know. It starts with a capital S. Compiler knows about all these conventions. So remember to use conventions. It says, but who is it? Oh, I say, oh, it's a class. And I didn't give you that information. Here, it's in that package. And the error is gone. What is it saying now? The spelling of system is wrong. That's what it is saying now. It says, oh, okay, now I know. You want to use a class called scanner, and here it is. Now, what have I done on the right-hand side is important. I've created a variable of type scanner. I'm calling it variable, though it's an object, right? So when you have to use a variable, For username, don't you declare a variable string username? You do. When you have to use an age, you say byte age. So you give the type of the variable and you give the name of the variable. I've done the same thing. I've given the type, which is a class, and I've given the name, which is input. But you don't do equal to new in those primitive data types because they're so common. The compiler said, oh, they're so common, I don't, and they're not classes, they're primitive data types. And I've already said those are the only types where you're not using classes in Java. Everywhere else you have to use classes. For printing, you have to use classes. For input, you have to use classes. So everywhere you use classes, except those primitive data types, int, byte, double, float, char, boolean. That's it. That's not where I need a class. Those are called primitive data types. And again, just as a layman, a primitive data type, the value is inside the box. So when you say age, you read the age of the person and you're putting it, age is equal to get age. It goes in a box called age. When you use an object like string and name, and you say, what's your name? And I say Anju. Anju doesn't go inside the box. Anju goes in a separate memory location. It's a reference type, and the address of this memory location goes in here. So that's a value box. The value is inside the box, and that's a reference box. So it has an address where the name is saved. That's the difference between a primitive data type and an object. An object is a reference box. A primitive data type is a value box. Right now, it may not make sense, but in the long run, as you program, it will make sense.
It's not just the difference between how the computer stores information and not how we use it.
Yeah, that's how it stores the information.
Right, but we use it the exact same way.
Yeah, yeah. With this, you have no option. You could add, you could subtract, you could then do things. But with this Anju, you have methods you could use. I can find the length of Anju. I can change it from Anju to something else, but that's a little different. But I can find the length of Anju. I can find, is A present in my name? I can find, is there a blank in my name? I can find how many times the letter N occurs in my name. So you can do a lot with objects because it has methods. The class has methods. But with this, with the value type, what can you do? I mean, you can use your arithmetic operators and relational operators. But if I ask you what's the length of 5 or length of 50, how many digits? There is no way of doing it. Right? But Java people were smart. They are smart. They created a class called integer. And now if that is a class, your 50 is here, you can start doing things with 50. What's the length of 50? So we have a type called int. Notice it starts with a small I, but there is also a class called integer. So if I wanted to use that class, I would, but I haven't till now because we're not there till now. String is the easiest class to use to begin with for programmers because it's so common, like we use it in our daily life, right? So that's the difference. So what's happening inside the memory for a primitive data type and what's happening inside the memory for an object data type. Okay, so what are you saying? You're saying I need a variable called input. Sure, here it is. But you will say, okay, now, like I have to create an object. An object has to be created. Why? Because it's an object. It's not a primitive data type. Primitive data types automatically it will give you memory for it. Oh, you asked for an int, here is your memory. You asked for a short, here is your memory. But for objects, you have to specifically use new to create an object. You have to do it. You can't work without it. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. It is non-existent. You cannot use it. If I remove this from here and leave it like you've done with, for example, int age, but you can use age, I can't use input. To create an object, I have to say, give me a new object. I have to ask the computer, the compiler to do it. And how do you do it? You use the reserved word new. So you're saying, give me a new object. Of what type? Of scanner type. Right? And you will say, oh, but like, what is this called? Is it always the same as the name of the class? Yes, it is always the same because you're saying, give me a new scanner. And this special, if you kind of look at it, what do you think this is? Scanner, opening bracket, closing bracket. It's a method. It's a method. It has syntax like a method. Name of the method, opening bracket, closing bracket. So it is a method. So there is a method called scanner in the scanner class that takes a parameter from you. And what does it do? Create an object for you and connects that object to system.in, which is your keyboard. So you'll say, how did you get that information? From here. So let's go to the scanner class. I don't like this API. I'll go to the API that kind of shows you the class. There. Okay. So here. So if this is what you usually see. So if I go to java.util, just to show you, though, I can just do a search. I can do a control F and I can say scanner. There is the scanner class. Okay. Now notice java.util.scanner tells you what, which package it belongs to, right? 2. Let's see. What did I do? They've given you examples how to create it. But why and how did I use? Here is the list. I have used. So notice there are so many scanner methods. And each one of them is called a constructor. So when you create an object, you construct an object. So the blueprint is there. So the blueprint of the house is there. You are creating the house. And how do you create the house? How do you create the object? You call a constructor. So constructors are special methods. They are methods, but they are special methods. What's special about them? They have the same name as the name of the class. And there could be any number of constructors in the class. So you'll say, which one do I use? Now, that will depend upon what you want to do with it. So I'm using the first easy one. It says constructs a new scanner that produces values scanned from the specified file. Oh, I'm not using the file. But I can replace that file name. So let's come down the default. Let's see where I can find the one I'm using. Here. So it says constructs a new scanner that produces values scanned from the specified string. But that's not a string. But system.in is a special, I can't call it thing. It's an object. System.in is an object that the system recognizes as key. So where do I find that information? From me, right? But it will be somewhere in the library. So what have I done? I've created, by saying new scanner, you are creating an object. And by putting those parameters in system.in in the parameter list, you are saying, oh, I want to connect this input object. You could have called it Anju. I want to connect this object with the keyboard. That's what you're saying. That's all you're saying, right? So which scanner, which constructor to use, you will learn with it. Here, there it is. That's the one I'm using. Input stream. So what is your input stream? Where is your data coming from? System.in. What is system.in by default? The keyboard. So if I don't use the right constructor, see, if I don't use the right constructor, I'm going to get an error. You'll say, what's wrong with it? Do you have a constructor with no parameters in this list? This needs a parameter, this needs two parameters, this needs one parameter, this needs two parameters, 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you see a constructor with no parameters? All of them need something. So if I have to create an object and I have to use a constructor, I have to use the right constructor. So it says, I can't find that constructor. There is nothing called scanner, opening bracket, closing bracket with no parameters. So you have to use a constructor, but you have to use a valid constructor. So the one that I'm using, so I could have named a file here, like something like anju.txt. I could have named a file here, and anju.txt, now it will read data from anju.txt, and anju.txt must be present in this same folder where my program is. You can read input from a file. You can read input from a database. You can read input from wherever you like. Your source can be anything. Why am I restricting it to the keyboard? Because that's what we are learning. We are in a fundamental course. That's the easiest. How do you give your input? From the keyboard. So I'm saying, oh, I want to read my input, but I want to read it from the keyboard. And what is the name of the keyboard? What is that special thing or value that signifies the keyboard? Is system.in. That's the keyboard. So whenever you create an object, you create You call the constructor of the class. You use the reserved word new to create it. Now I have a constructor. Now I have an object called input. It's called input. It's ready. It's there. You can use it. How to use it, we will learn. So the difference between declaring an int, I'm just writing it here, I'll remove it. That's the difference. With age, you never go equal to give me a new, it's going to bark about it. It's a primitive data type. It knows what it is. It will automatically give you 4 bytes for it. You don't have to say, give me 4 bytes. Oh, I want to create it. Nothing. Automatically, primitive data types will get whatever they are supposed to get, 2 bytes, 4 bytes, 8 bytes, whatever. And here you can just use it. That's the difference between a primitive data type and a object. And the only object that you've used till date is the string class. So anything that is an object of type string, you've used it. And you've used scanner, because without input, how will I create outputs? Make sense now? Okay. So I'm not going to put my age here. So why did I put my class variable up there? Because it's just a pen that everybody needs to write or read from. It's a book that everybody reads. So I borrow a book from the library. I've read it, then I give it to V and I say, you read it. I give it to somebody, Patricia, and I say, now you can read it. So we are sharing the book. Right? So it's okay to put it at the class level. Okay? You could put it in locally in each of the methods that you want to read data, but that's a better thing to do. Method A needs it, method B needs it, method C needs it, method D needs it. You could have done a local in here, local in here, local in here, local in here, but 4 methods need it. And it is not destructible in a sense, like you can, it's not a variable that you can change. I just declared it at the class level. And the other thing that you usually declare at class level are constants. Because what is the advantage of constants? A constant never changes. And how do you say it is a constant? You use final with it. Then it becomes a constant. So putting it at the class level, no problem. It's final. None of the methods can destroy it or change it. So it's okay. That's why we put constants at class level. You could again put them locally, but it's not hurting anybody. It's a constant. Nobody can change it. None of the methods can change it. So it's okay to put it here. So all your constants in your assignment to minimum height, minimum weight, maximum weight, the 0.5 lower limit, the 0.85, 703, 220, they're all constants. So instead of saying maximum heart rate is 220 minus age, that 220 doesn't make sense. What is 220? Can I change to 222 and it will work, or what is it? If I call it something like heart rate constant, at least I know, oh, it's something a constant to calculate this. So you can use 3.14 for the pi value in your program, but if I call it pi and I give it 3.14, and if you're a math student and you're reading my code, you'll say, oh, that's the pi value she's using. It makes more sense. So constants make more sense because they have a name. And 2, the advantage is no method can change them. They can only be assigned a value once. Whether you use the assignment operator to do it, whether you read it from the user, but it can only be done once. Only once. So it's okay to declare constants at the class level. So I'm not sure what I'll need, but I think I'll need something like, I've used a constant called upper limit yesterday in class, so I'll need it. And I've given it a value of 11. As I need them, I'll do them. So I've declared a, what is it saying? Static final. Oh, I forgot the type. I can make it byte because it's just 11. I can make it short because it's just 11. If I want to increase and I don't know, it can maybe go to a bigger value. I can create it as int. So in assignment 2, I was particular. Use the right type and the right size because I want you to think. At least in the fundamental course, I want you to think. And once you think right, you won't forget that habit. You will always think right. But int is so, it's like I don't care attitude. Int is fine. Why should I think about, oh, age cannot go beyond 123. I don't need an int. Byte is good enough. I don't care. And we have that attitude. Humans have that. If it's okay. If it works, it works. But again, my aim is in a fundamental course to try to make you think, oh, I could have used a byte there. It's only 123. I can go till 128. Why didn't I use a byte? You saved 3 bytes. You only got 1 byte. You'll say, I don't care. Is it my memory? No. Is it my money? No. But that's not the attitude. I don't want you to live with that attitude for programmers. So 1400, 1 to 1400, maximum heart rate, sorry, maximum weight 1 to 1400. 1400 can be accommodated in a shot. Why would I use an interval? Again, I didn't dock off 2 marks or 3 marks. I just docked off 0.5. You made maybe 3-4 mistakes. So if you made ints where think about it. I didn't even go to 75%. I went to 87%. So the aim is to make you think about it. And that's why I try to give things that necessarily may be too nicky, picky, and so on. But if you think today, you will apply it tomorrow. At the end of the day, I don't care. But I do care that you become good programmers. Okay? Okay, so if I need a constant. Okay, now let's start writing a mean. Let's do a few things. And as I said, today my aim is to kind of talk about the string class so that you know how to use classes. Okay, so I'm going to declare a string object. I'm going to call it full name, just for the heck of it. I could call it name also. And I don't have to do new with it, but you will then question me, oh, string is a class. You said whenever you create an object, you should do new with it. But Java programming language said, since string is such a common class that you use it on the fly like an int or a double, will be okay. I'll put the new myself. The compiler puts the new on its own. But you could do it and you're perfectly fine with it. You could say is equal to, give me a new string. And now it's not complaining with that empty parameters, which means there is a constructor with empty parameters. So you could do it like this. And it's perfectly fine. And you can do it without the new only for the string class, because the string class is so commonly used in every program. That's why. That is why you don't have to do new. But that's absolutely logical to do it. So where did I get that constructor? Notice name of constructor same as the name of the class. Is it a valid constructor is my next question. So let's look for the string class. And let's look at its constructors. It has a whole load. There are its, and look at the first constructor itself. There is the constructor, no text, no parameters. What does it do? Initializes a newly created string object so that it represents empty character sequence. So it has created an object. It has nothing in it. It says it represents an empty character. There's nothing in it, but it's there. So if you say new string, good enough. If you don't say new string, even then it will work. Just for the string class, because string class is so common. Think about it. Text is so common in our lives as numbers are. So the Java guy said, oh, you know what? I'll let them go without the new. But you can do it. You can use this one. You can use this one. You can use this one. This is a deprecated one, so we won't use it. And here it is. So we have another deprecated one. But look at the number of constructors with the string class. And you won't understand all of them. Definitely you won't, but you can understand the simplest one I'm using. So there are at least 15 constructors in the string class. And you'll say, why? Why do we need so many constructors? We just need an object. Think about it like this. I need a red car. I need a blue car. I need a green car. So maybe if you pass the color, Honda knows, or whoever knows, oh, they are looking for it. So you're giving your preferences. That preferences can be given in the constructor list. But if you're saying, oh, I just need a string, it says, okay, here is a string. But if you start giving preferences, then those parameters are required. So a constructor can be of many types. It's like saying, oh, getting Georgian College. Which Georgian College do you want to go to? Oh, any will do. Or do you want to go to the Berry campus? Do you want to go to the Midland campus? Do you want to go to the Owen Sound campus? So you're giving more information when you're trying to fill in your application. So it's the same thing. You can construct an object and say, oh, any string will do. Or you can say, no, I want a string that has this, this, and this, for example. There is where you will use another kind of constructor. But that's what constructors are. They construct an object. The name of the constructor is always the name of the class. It's a special method. Therefore, you have the opening and the closing brackets. It's a special method and it's called constructor. Okay? So we haven't done it till now and we don't have to, but I'll keep it here just for so that you know I can do this. And I can do it without this also. I don't need this. I can just go like this too. Just because string is such a common class, I can do this also. I don't have to ask for an object. It automatically gives me an object. Just for string. So don't go into that bad habit, oh, I don't need new. You always need new in all other classes. Okay, so there is a string object. Okay, let's do a few things more and then I'll kind of fill it in. So my aim, I want to read a name from the user. So call method to get name from user. So whenever you call a method, I would like you to kind of give me a comment. What are you doing? Assign it to, I don't want you to say assign it to the variable full name and all that. That's not required. Just a normal comment, English comment. Okay, so I'm going to call get name. You can call it get full name if you like, though really it doesn't matter. Does it need any parameters from you? No. You've written this name methods many times. So let's write it. Let's take this. Let's write it here. Let's put our Java doc comments. If we want to put Java doc comments, sure. This method inputs a name from the user and returns it. That's all I asked in the midterm, because I know you don't have time to kind of put many comments, but at least tell me what each method does at the head. Now, if you want to complete it, there are no parameters, but there is a return. The name of the user. That's how I would complete it. And notice it's just telling me what does it return. There's no variable names here, nothing. It's just a return, normal return statement. You can say return the sum of two numbers, return the product of two numbers. No variable names here, just a normal English sentence. What are you giving back? Okay. Now let's complete it. It's a private method. A couple of you made all your methods public, only a couple of you. You don't, when you write structured programming, you make them private because nobody needs it. Only main is calling it. It returns a string. It's called get full name and does something. And what does it do? We'll just see. What is the job of this method? So when I say write a method, don't care of where it is being used, how it will. No, that's not your job. Your job is to write the method, and I'll give you all information. The method takes no parameters, reads a name from the user, and returns it. That's all the information you need. That's all information you need. Plus, let me do a little more things with you. I would like you to validate the name. And now validation is a big job with regular expressions, but at least you can do small validation for me. At least check that the user gave you something, didn't only press the enter key. So you ask for name, I can only press the enter key and it will be taken. It doesn't know you didn't give anything. So I'll make this small validation in my code that the name cannot be empty. You have to give me something. You could give me one which is not valid, but as I said, that's very advanced of how you check the validity of name. But you can do this small job that the name must not be empty. That means there should be something in the name. A, B, C, 1, 2, whatever, but something, even a comma, but something. So this method inputs a name from the user and returns it. Validates that it is not empty. I'm going to use a local variable. And guys, if there is something that you don't understand while I teach, stop and ask. Please. If I'm going too fast, please tell me I'm going too fast. because all this is now coming out of frustration from special students that have something going on. Okay. There. So I've declared a local variable because I need to read something. So when you write a method, don't think about who's my neighbor, who's going to use it, what do I do? No, I want to write a method, and that's the beauty. I want to write a method that takes no parameters, inputs a name from the user, validates it to be non-empty, and then returns it to whoever called it. That's your job. So don't look at the surroundings. Look at your method. Concentrate on your method. Now, how do I do that? How do I check if there is something inside here? So if I say, if I do a system.out.print, if you want to keep it in the same line, please enter your full name. I mean, I'm just kind of, if I get time, I'll show you more methods. I'm taking full so that I can show you, oh, I can split it on a blank, but I don't know how much time will I have. So, and then you read it from the user. Okay, so what is your scanner object that allows you to read input? That's what you called it, input. You could have called it Anju, but I called it input because it made more sense. You could have called it read. I wouldn't use reserved words, but read. Reader. You could call it reader, and that's perfectly fine too. Any name that makes sense. So now how do I do it? I take my variable on the left-hand side. I ask the help of that object. Input, can you read something from me from the keyboard? Yes.
The string, the full name.
This is just a local variable. As I said, when I write a method.
The variable, I think you said it was.
Yeah, but that full name is in main. It's a name here which is getting a value from this method. What does this method call it? Doesn't matter. No. That's why I could have made full name as class and then everybody calls it full name, but I don't want to do that. Then what happens is my method is restricted to use that name that is at class level and I have to know about it. Whereas a method should be independent. So what you use in your methods has nothing to do, their names have nothing to do with where you're going to keep them. Okay, and that's the beauty of methods. It's totally independent. Totally independent. And the other thing that you have to also now understand, since we talk about it, name is a local variable and it is available from here till here. That's its scope. That's all that it is available. Full name is available from where it was declared till the end of the name. I can't use full name here. I cannot use name there. But if I had made full name local, I would have used it everywhere. And some students say, oh, that's easy. That's the easiest thing to do. But that's not the best thing to do. That is the worst thing to do, to make everything global and say, here, anybody can use it. Okay? So communication between methods has to be through parameters and through returns. Everything else, do your own job. Okay? And I didn't do a new here. I could have done it just because I said it can be without. So the scope, so let me use terms now. The scope of name is this method, where you declare it till the end of the method. I could have declared it here and from here till the end of the method. That's its scope. And what is lifetime? Lifetime means when does it live? When you call the method, name takes birth. When you return from the method, name dies. So I can't use it outside the method. Right? So every variable has a scope. Where can I use it? And has a lifetime. Till where till it. So all class variables, what is their scope? The whole class, all methods. What is their lifetime? When you run the program, they're living. When the program finishes, we die. So local variables will take birth. We say they are given memory when you call the method. And when the method finishes, call, return, they die. They're not in memory, they're gone. So a variable has a scope and a variable has a lifetime. Okay, so these are two words that you may hear and you should know what they are now. Okay, so this name has nothing to do with that full name. Why? Because at the end of the day, I'll just return it. What happens? This name variable goes and gets saved where? In full name here. Here is the connection. That's the connection. So you call get full name, you read a name in that method, and you return it. Job done. And you put it in a variable called full name here. You could have called it full name. Even then, there were two different variables. Even then, there were two different variables. So I am trying now to kind of emphasize, give them different names, and it will, you have to understand the concept of local variables. So the scope of a variable locally is from here, where you declare it, till here. That's the scope. Lifetime, when I call get full name, it gets memory space. When I finish, when the call is finished, it's gone from memory. So that's how it goes. Okay, what we were doing. Okay, now why do I put a dot next line here? And of course, you copy it maybe blindly sometimes, or maybe you know what I'm doing. See what I'm doing. I'm using a method called next line of the scanner class. You'll say scanner class. Why? Because input is a scanner object. What does this next line method do? Are we in string? Let's go to scanner. Now, since the scanner class, a simple text scanner which can parse primitive types and strings using regular, that's its functionality. That's what a scanner object can do. It can parse means read values, primitive data types, int, float, double, and strings. That's its job, right? That's what it does. But now the main thing is, how does it do it? So definitely, if I want to read an integer, I'll have to say, please read an integer. If I want to read a byte, I'll say, please read a byte. If I want to read a string, I'll say, please read a string. So there are methods. And the next line method, there are many methods. There is a next method, which a couple of you have used. I haven't used it yet in class because next line is easy. Here, this is how you read an int. Call the next int method. This is the next line method. Advances this scanner past the current line and returns the input that was skipped. Now, it's not as easy to understand, but what does next line do? All input that you give from your keyboard till you press the enter key is taken and assigned to the name. That's what it does. So when you read strings, you should use the next line method. When you want to read an integer, you should use the next int method. When you want to read a byte, you should use the next byte method. So for float, so for double, and so on. And there is a next method also that you can use, which is very similar to next line. But what it does is this. It will read, but it will, so you input A and JU and you press the enter key. It will only read unju. It will not absorb or discard the enter key. The enter key stays in your input buffer. And if you try to read something again from the buffer, it says, oh, I see an enter key there. It will take that enter key and give it to that other variable. So the next and next line differ. Both can be used to read strings. But the difference is next line will take the enter key that you press and eat it up, like throw it away. Next will take the input, but it will not throw away the next line, the enter key. And the enter key will sit in the buffer. So next time when I see in the buffer, there is the enter key. So if I try to read something from it, it says, oh, I already have something. I don't want to ask you. Here, take it. That's what it does. Yes.
I just have a question, because when I was writing the program, I had to put next line twice because it wasn't.
Okay, now let's talk about that. Okay, now let's talk about, and we've talked about this from assignment 1. I'll repeat it. Now that maybe you will understand it better. Read an integer from the user. The method is next int. So you input your integer, 55, 50, whatever, and you press the enter key, right? That's how you stop your input. That's the only way we can stop it. So what happens? This is what happens. In your input buffer, the value 55 and the enter key are saved. This was your input, 55 and the enter key. That goes into the buffer. What does next int do is it reads the integer. Enter is not an integer. Remember, enter is a character, but it is not an integer. So it reads, you could have even said, you could even give your input like this. it will only read 55 out of it. It can be done. I don't want to go into details, but let's take the right input. So you give this. So it absorbs the 55 because you said read an integer. The enter is still sitting in your buffer. Now your next question is, what is your gender? And you've used the next line there or something to read out of it, right? Or you've just said read a float. It doesn't even stay for input. It doesn't even ask for input. It just skips it. Why? Because it picks up that enter key that it still has in its pocket and uses it. So how will you remove that enter key? How will you flush that enter key? The next line method reads everything till the enter. So if there were extra characters or whatever your buffer has extra things, it will read all of them, including the enter key, and throw it away. Therefore, you need an extra input dot next line to empty your buffer. And this will always happen after next int, next float, next double, all numbers, because it doesn't absorb the enter. Whereas next line method absorbs the enter. So the buffer becomes empty. Therefore, in your first assignment, remember I said read your name first, then read your age, and then read your program. I gave you the sequence because I knew this was going to create a problem. And of course, at that point of time, you wouldn't understand it. So if you have prompted for something and it is not asking you that, it is skipping that question, there is something in your input buffer. So how do you flush it? Some programs like C has a method called flush, and it will flush it, clean it, right? In Java, you go name of the scanner object dot next line, and it will clean it till the end of the line. So it's clean now. And I don't assign it to anything because I just want to clean it. So I just say input dot next line, and it says, oh, there is something, it takes it away and throws it away. Now it's empty. So now when you ask a question, what is your age? It will say, oh, I don't have anything, you tell me. That's the use of it. Okay, that's flushing it. Okay. Okay, I'll give you a break. Let me just finish this. What was I doing? I'll have to come back and do it, of course, because I haven't completed it. But that would be a normal method that is not validating your input, but is asking for a name, taking the input from the user, and returning the name. And you've done it so many times. But now I'll add validation to it. I'll tell you how to check that this name that the user is inputting is not empty, has something in it. Now that something may not be right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, comma, question mark, but it is something. Okay, we'll take a break here of 20 minutes, come back, and then do validation of strings. You haven't validated a string. Any questions for me before you leave? Anything fresh in your mind? Are we okay? Okay, good. No question today, Ben? Ben, no question today? Usually you come up with questions, and that makes it's helpful. If any student asks a question, it helps everybody. I'm hoping. Oh my God, who's strong enough here, guys?
Can I help you?
Oh, thanks. I think it was hot when I closed it. Oh God, right? It was warm when I closed it, so I think.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, right? Because it's safe. Yeah. Ah, thank you. That's how we do the pasta bottles, right? Oh God, it is so hot. I'm going to take a break outside, okay?
Before she was in the rules program, I used to catch up and I'm still on the group. I just think people in school are figuring out sports and learning.
Is it a good weekend?
No, not too bad. Yeah.
I got zeros. Better than I.
You got zero?
No. More.
There's two reasons. One, I didn't know how to do it. Two, traveling, so.
Yeah.
On that day, and I asked for my class, and didn't get it.
Yeah, you go fast for me.
Yeah, 63.
Yeah, I actually.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I was till 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Getting errors, just like trying everything.
So there's been a few days where I've like 2 days straight just fixing errors.
I didn't even notice, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, they don't make sense to me either, but it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the entire project.
You didn't just keep it compile
Nope.
in 3 seconds.
No.
So she didn't do that.
No,
That's just that's for the darkest mastery.
yeah, I finished it like on the day of.
Well, she gave us most of the information to do it that Tuesday.
You know what, I didn't even see that information, so I ended up doing it right away, and then I figured it took out the same that she was that's by there. I had no idea. Didn't learn, no. I just- And I feel like every time I'm reading
Yes.
oh, now I understand why we were like on the first.
I understand a lot more.
Do you really? I have like so lots in my mind. It's just like.
But I can see.
You just kind of need to.
Oh, I've been looking at comments. Oh, I'm thinking. Right, so I'm, oh, okay. So I've been looking at comments. I can't understand what you're. Ah, okay, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Sorry. I kept thinking that I've told you what's wrong and I'm thinking comments. I'm not thinking prompts. Okay, I'll do that. I'm so sorry. I'm just concentrating on comments. I'm saying, I've told you what's wrong and because you're saying grammatically incorrect and I'm saying, no, they're there. Oh God, I'm so sorry about that. Therefore, I said, talk to me. Maybe I don't get what you're saying and silly me. I can't. Oh, you're right. I missed it. What's the guy's name? Guys, one of you sent me an email for assignment 2 because you missed it by 2 or 10 minutes or something. I can't remember the person's name now. No, that was, I've already answered you. If you go on vacation or trips or there is no medical reason, yes, I can do things about that. As I can take it now because I've already posted the solution. I can give you 20 days after the assignment. I can give you a day, a couple of days, but that's it. And that also for urgent reasons. I can take it now. It's been 2 weeks since the assignment was accepted. 2 weeks, it's a big time. I can do that now. So yes. Okay, now, yes, I have to explain. All prompt the user for their age is not happening in May. It is happening in the web. So all the
Because I just sort of like the walk.
yeah, but that's not what the main method is doing. The main method is calling the methods to do this. So it's a call this, call this, call this, call this. So if you go on Blackboard and look under your weekly learning,
So I get a 15 bucks, right, but I just thought. well,
No,
it's
but
not
I
even
can't.
worth like $20.
I was thinking, but then she says it's entirely wrong. You know what I mean? Because it's not what the name is doing at all.
Right.
Not a single statement there is happening with me.
Okay.
So I thought about it a lot because it was not only you, there were a few students. And then I thought,
That's just my fun.
it's not correct. It's
Right.
entirely.
Okay, that's no problem.
Yeah, so if you look in your Tuesdays, if you look in your Tuesday sections and go to the calculator main text, yeah. This one. See, call. That's
Right.
it.
Okay.
That's all. I have an if here because I had a counter in my name, but otherwise I wouldn't have gone. So you were explaining me what the program is doing as a whole, but that's not the pseudocode for.
And then I had a question about.
I thought it was 62, but I think
Whatever I just read.
I'm not sure why my marks so low. Because I'm doing poorly or anything.
But I have all your marks recorded. So do you have all your assignments? Remember every time I said I'm sending you something, take a picture of it?
I think I have them at home. I don't know if I have all of them. But
Because,
the only thing I know is I missed one day of that class. But I don't know.
yeah, but I have it on a, yeah, so for me, my only thing is you, right? And that's why I kept saying that,
So what is that mark consisting of? Is that
I'll
just
tell
the
you what it is
assignment?
consisting of. So all the assignments that you did, so the latest should be somewhere in November is the last when I did it. I forget which date it was, but anyway, so this is what is happening. Oh, there it is. No. Let me kind of put it and sort it according to last modified. And here, okay, so here. So don't look at the others, just concentrate on yours, right? So your name is Bree, last name Bree? Parker. So what I've done here is, as you give me your assignments, here you are.
Okay.
So it's giving me marks. I've put in marks for all your assignments and it is totaling up to that. So you're right, you missed only a class and so 2 assignments have 0. That's the
I guess
class
they
you
were
must have
worth a
missed.
lot.
Maybe one was worth 16 and one was worth 15, 30
Right.
marks.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's why.
Is there any way I can still do those? Or because what happened, my computer before that class was in my bag and a bunch of water spots on it, so I didn't bring it to the shop.
If I know,
I've been
see,
doing
the
that.
big thing is if you're missing a class and there is an important urgent reason, you can always email me and we can always adjust. But we can't adjust it weeks after. And it says in my syllabus, for unavoidable emergency reasons, I'm ready to adjust.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to affect my mark that much.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay,
And, like,
so what we are,
not even there
1,
when my
2, 3,
computer got wrecked
4,
and
5,
everything.
6, 7, 8,
It
9,
happened.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Or even if I like,
You know what I can do? I'm
Only get
thinking, I'm right, I'm
marks or
seeing what you're saying.
something. Yeah.
Ah. Okay, so I'll do this. It may, but I'll have to do it first and see if it is affecting or decreasing anybody's mark. Then I can change anything. You know what I mean? Because it's already posted on Blackboard.
Yeah.
But I could do this. I could, of that 20% total, we have done 14 or whatever assignments. I'll kind of take that 20 and break it up into different, give them individually. And maybe that will help improve marks for people who have just missed maybe the bigger ones or the smaller ones or something like that.
right.
And that way, if you've only missed 2, you're not missing 30 marks, you're saying, say, missing 2%
Yeah.
or 3%.
That would really help.
Yeah, so I'll think about it that way. Okay. But if it even affects a student and his or her, I don't think they'll go down for anybody. I think they'll only go up for everybody.
Okay.
So let me think about it and see if I can create a formula that says, okay, you missed a day, but your penalty was not that high because by chance that day the assignments were bigger.
Yeah.
And if it improves everybody's mark, I just do that.
Okay.
Okay?
I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you for bringing it to my notice. You missed the day when we did the bigger assignment,
Yeah.
like the most marks assignment.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take that 20 and distribute them equally over all assignments.
Okay.
So then if you miss 2 assignments, you're not missing 30 marks, you're missing maybe whatever, 1 point and 2.5 kind of percent.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try
Thank
that. Okay. Next time to start class.
Sorry,
Okay? That's
super
it.
quick. For some reason, I thought I copied everything from
You want to hold it?
Okay.
Yeah, that is non-static variable input. So you what?
Oh, yeah, like.
I guess I.
Input has to be static. Static is missing. Or you
I just have a quick question for the percentages. It's actually from inventory. I'll just show you.
You'll have to see if I have my office hour or after this. Okay, because the time is up and then I will do. Is it a big thing or just?
This is a small thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear shooting.
I'd say Trump.
Right, and I kind of maybe this so that everybody knows. I was it's wrong.
Yeah,
So Bree, we talk about that in the math class, the point that you've brought up. It's a good point. I think it makes sense logically. I'll bring it up in the math class. And then I don't think anybody will disagree with it, but I still have to think because it's already officially posted. I still have to think about, oh, will it affect anybody's marks? So if it doesn't go down for anybody, I think everybody will be happy. Okay, but I'll bring it up. That was a good thing to bring up. Thank you. Okay, very quickly, since there is there are a couple of doubts about the pseudocode and the flow chart for quite a few of you. I'm going to open up what was required, and if it is not there, I can give you marks. It is entirely incorrect, right? So if you thought about it, and if you didn't even then, I can't do much about it now. But both these were up on Blackboard a week before in the October 2 week. I had created this flow charts for you and pseudocode and put it up on Blackboard. And look at my pseudocode. Can I hear? So in the main is nothing but a call to methods. And that's what I want from you. That's the correct thing. If you start putting your logic here, take the age from the user, take the gender from the user, that's all wrong. That's not what the main is doing. I gave you to write or the pseudocode of the simplest method in the program, main, which did basically nothing but call. So you do see a 1-2 set counter if counter is greater than 5, because I did it in my program. We had a for loop, and that's what it was for. But for you, there was no for loop. For you, all it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 7. And I give you different ways of doing it. You can write it compute sum is equal to this one. You can say compute sum by calling the method. You can simply say compute sum by calling a method. So this was on Blackboard since October 2, much before the assignment. And this was easy 4 marks, 2-minute job. And though I feel bad, but I can give you marks if you are writing the whole logic of your program. I haven't asked for it. The rule is the more the better. No, that's not the rule. The rule is the correct the better, right? And flowchart. And again, I see 2. I don't know why I have 2, but maybe I can't remember why I have 2. I've given you 2. I think one had more, one had less, and whatever. I can't remember. But let's look at the flowchart. The flowchart has to use the right symbols. This is the symbol for call, right? And it has exactly, and notice how easy, it's just a call. That's all I need. That's it. I don't want you to explain the logic that is happening in other methods in main. I said, give me the flowchart and pseudocode for main. So because I feel bad about it, I'm not promising anything, but because I feel bad about it, I may give a bonus assignment. I'm not promising anything. It's a lot of work, but that bonus assignment will not be worth 15%. That bonus assignment will be only worth what with this flowchart and code was worth, kind of. If you have those marks, you don't need to do the bonus. If you want to make up your marks, you can do it. I'm not promising anything at all, but I'm just saying, and 50% of the class didn't even give it. So why should I make that extra effort? You know what I mean? it is extra effort on my part to give it, then mark it, and then give you marks. But I'm thinking like, and again, the examples were right here on Blackboard. And this is the symbol that you use for calling. And this is called a subprocess symbol. And even if you don't have Visio, doesn't matter. Any flowchart program that you use will have it. And I did it with you. I definitely remember doing it better with the Tuesday class because Monday was a holiday. I couldn't do it with Monday. I did it with you. And with the other class, I just showed it to them because I didn't have time. And I don't know what the second one is. I'm assuming that maybe it had a little more in it, or did I make some changes? I can't remember. Why did I put 2? Oh, I think in one I did a false and a true, and I changed it in the other. False, true were different. You could put a false here and true here and whatever. Yeah, so both options are correct, but notice the symbols. So this is a processing symbol. This is a stop and start symbol. This is a decision-making symbol. And you have to use the right symbols. And you have to put the right thing inside it. You can even say, you can even put call display purpose here, but even then, these are assignments, so it kind of becomes clear, but you can put the word call, but here even you don't even have to say the word call. So it's right there. If you don't use the right symbols, the flowchart is wrong. If you're giving me everything the program is doing, it's wrong. Right? So I can give you marks. Like I thought about it, giving one, but I have to be fair to everybody. People who've done it the way will get the marks how they do it. Okay. So there. So that was there, and that was what was expected. Okay. Only of the main method. So now you know what's wrong. If you see something else, you can always come back and talk to me. Okay. If I've missed something, you can always come back and talk to me. Okay, let's go here. Now, I'm going to show you how to validate that the name is not empty. And since I'm using a string class, there will be something in this string class which will help me. So if whoever wrote the string class, if they thought about it, it's quite common to say, what's the length of your string? Or are you empty? It's a very common question to ask of a string. So if there is a method, I can use it. And for your information, there is a method. There is a method called isEmpty. There is a method called length with the string class, and all I have to do is use it. So what can I do? I'll put a do while here. I'll say do. I'll put a while here. And I use a do while because the reading is inside. And what am I saying is name is empty. Do while bracket is missing. See how simple. So what does it say? It says while the name is empty, keep on asking, keep on asking, keep on asking. Job done? You'll say, where did this is empty come from? Nowhere. It just came from the string. Whose name? What is name? A string object. So definitely name of the object dot name of the method. Where is the method coming from? The string class. So let's look at it. Does the string class have a method called? Does the string class have a method called isEmpty? And you'll say, oh, what if I don't know what to look for? You'll just learn with time. You can do it with Google. Here, there it is. isEmpty is a method that returns a Boolean value, true or false, if the length is 0. So I'm saying while the name is empty, keep on asking. Job done. You cannot leave your name empty. But let me show you something now. Let's run this. We haven't even run it once. Compile. I see a error. Non-static variable. Oh, okay. Input has to be static, which I must have forgotten. Yes, static. There. Everything in Java program, when you're writing a Java application, has to be static. We'll talk about why, and give me a couple of more weeks, but just make everything static. There is a reason behind it. Okay. Won't say a lot right now. Enough in a day. Okay. Now let's compile it. Let's run it. Okay, so the only thing it is doing is, oh, it's not even printing it. Okay, anyway, let's at least run it. Okay, it says enter your full name. What am I going to do is this. I'm just going to put space bars, nothing else. And I'm going to do an enter. It didn't ask again. Because space bars is not empty. What is empty means? It has no character. The length is 0. But if you put space bars, it's not asking again. It should ask again. Space bar is not valid. I mean, all spaces is not a valid name. So to improve my logic, what I'm going to do is this. See, you improve it. So after you read it, I'm going to do something. So you've read the name. I'm so sorry. You've read the name from the user. I'm going to trim it. Trim the leading and trailing blanks. And there's nothing wrong in it. Maybe I gave my name as blank blank Anju, blank Chawlal, blank blank blank. When you want to save it in a variable, what is the sense of putting extra blanks in the front of a name and at the end of the name? Nothing. So what will I do is I'll take the name and I'll trim it. So there is a method called trim in the string class. What does it do? It removes all trailing and leading blanks. That's what it does. So now when I give blank, 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 and I say trim, it will remove all blanks and it will ask again. It should ask again. It should ask again. So let's try that. Make sense? So where is this trim method coming from? I didn't invent it. It's right here. So let's look for Control F trim. There it is. Returns a string whose value is the string with any leading and trailing white space removed. Leading and trailing white space. White space means enters, tabs, blanks. Everything will be removed from the front and from the back. That's what trim does. It's a normal English word, trim. Trim my hair, cut off the dead ends, trim this. Trim means remove extra things. And those extra things are white space characters, blanks, tabs, and the new line character is trim. Just a small thing that I would like to mention. How do you use it? You use it, what does it return? A string. So you have to look at its signature and understand it. It is a method that takes no parameters and returns a string. So what did I do? Since it returns a string, I put it back in a string variable. I use the same variable. Like my name had blank, 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 Anju, blank, blank, blank. Now it only has Anju, which is okay. If you want to save those extra blanks and not remove them, then put it in a new variable. Then put it in some other variable. But if it is okay to replace the same value, so you had a box, and in that box, suppose just for the heck of it, I gave my input as blank, 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 Anju, blank, blank, blank. And this is the picture of a string variable, right? So what does trim do? Trim removes this. That's what trim does. If you want to keep this, but remove the blanks and put it somewhere else, then you'll have to create a new variable. You can call it new name of type string. And then assign it. Take the name, the object that you want to trim. And what will happen in this case? The name will be trimmed and it will be put in a new box called new name. This one remains unchanged. But I must bring something to your notice. It may seem Greek today. Okay. Strings are immutable in Java. Now, what is this immutable? They cannot be changed in place. They cannot be changed in place. Does it affect the user? No. So that's why most users don't even know about it. Believe it or not. Many people don't even know about it. So when you say name gets, take my name and trim it, it doesn't make the change in this place. It will kind of create a new location, remove the blanks, put Anju into it, but will now point to this. This is called immutable. Immutable means it cannot change things in place, at place. So it creates a new location, does something with whatever you've told it to do, and changes this reference. So for us, for a programmer, we say, oh, the name has changed. So behind the scenes, since strings are immutable, they're not changed in place. So if you see the word immutable somewhere, all it is saying is they are not changed at place. You'll say, does it affect me as a user? No. because like you don't care where it is saved, right? But just for your information. So I said it could seem Greek for now, but many classes, string is one of the important ones, are immutable, cannot be changed at place. So the computer behind the scenes, the compiler is actually creating a new location for you. It's not changing the name of it. It's not changing the name of it, first creating a new location. But if you want to create a new name, then you'll have to do it manually yourself. So now it is trimmed. Now try it. Now try it. Try it again. Compile it. Go back. Let's see if it asks again. And again, I'm inputting my name as all space bars, okay? It's asking again. Only space bar, asking again. Now I'm going to enter something like my name. Now it takes it and does not ask again. So what have I done with trimmed? I've removed all the trailing and the leading blanks. So if you only give blanks, it's gone. What is missing here? There is no error message. So the user is confused. Why is it asking my name over and over again? So an error message is always important. You'll say, I've given it blank, blank, blank. That's my name. Silly name, but my name is blank, 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 blank. So it is always a good idea. And you've done it in your assignment because I've said I need error messages. After you trim it, let's give an error message. What will you do? You'll say if the name after you trim it is empty. So now instead of empty, let me show you another method. Does the same job. Let's print out a message on the screen. Now oh, that's why it's asking again. What did I do? I checked the length. You could have said if name is empty, but I'm just showing you that this is another way of checking if the name is empty, if the string is empty. So you can say, you can use the is empty method, or you can say length is equal to 0, mean the same thing. Is one better than the other? No, actually is empty is calling the length method. It checks the length to say whether you are empty or not.
Is there any null variables in Java?
Are there any?
Null.
You mean null?
Yeah.
Okay, an object can be null. Its initial value is null, which means not defined. So it's called null, N-U-L-L. You mean the type of the variable none. There are two different, the constant, there is a constant, there is a special value called null, and you can assign it to an object, which means it is not defined. Okay, like you can assign 5 to an integer variable, you can assign null, N-U-L-L, all small, to an object. And it is not the same as empty. They're two different things. Yeah. Null means not defined, and empty means it is defined, but it has nothing inside it. Right? Okay, so you've asked it, I've told you, but I will still not say something about it. Okay. Okay, does that make sense? So now when you run it, yes, Kirill, go.
Can you put some couple spaces and then your name?
Yes, I can. And let's do this. Let me print it out for you. Only then will you know, oh, is she telling what she's doing? Okay, so let's print it for the heck of it, okay? Okay, so let's print my name. What I'm going to print my input. And I'm just doing it very, okay, you know what? Then you catch me. Then you say you did it. So I better do it here. I'll use printfs because I want you to get into the habit of using print. And printfs don't use pluses. Printf uses a comma. Okay. So here, to prove that it is working or it is not working. Okay. And Kirill's question is, can you put some blanks and then your name? Yes, it will take your name. It will remove the extra blanks from front and back, and it will print it out. Because you've trimmed it. If you didn't trim it, then it wouldn't. Okay, so let's try. Are we ready to see what's happening? Okay, let's be ready. Okay, let's try everything. Okay, so I'm going to give only blanks first. It says invalid name cannot be empty. Make sense? It's invalid. Now let me give a couple of blanks and then my name, Anju, and then more couple of blanks. Of course, you cannot see. Notice it's saying enter your full name, and that's what I entered. I entered blank, 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 Anju, and then I had more blanks, which of course are not visible because there is no way of doing it. But notice what it spit out. Why? Because I trimmed it and then returned it. So trimming.
Put your last name and there's a space.
No, not the between space. No, that's not removed. Leading and trailing blanks are removed. Then that would be a disaster, right? If it starts removing blanks from between Anju, blank, Chawla, then the whole input is incorrect. It removes leading and trailing white space characters, tabs, new lines, blanks, not from the middle. So if I say Anju, blank, 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 Chawla, if you want to remove those extra blanks, you will have to write the logic yourself. Just for your information, Python has a way of doing it. In Python, you can remove the blanks, extra blanks in between two strings, not in Java. You'll say, why? Whoever wrote the string class didn't think about it. Or maybe they added it in Java 10, who knows, right? So we can go through the methods, but as far as I know, no. We'll have to do it logically. We can do it logically. I can say, I can find out where the blank is, and from that position onwards, I'll write a for loop to remove all blanks. I mean, I will do it logically. I can do it. This is all logic. Whoever wrote the length method has done logic in it. What logic is it? Think about it. Input was taken. Every character was checked. If it was a blank, it said, oh, the length is... if there was a blank and you were trimming it, it's just not copying it into the new location. So somebody has already written the logic for us. Why will we write it again? Right? Is Curtis Jones in this section? No. Okay. Now I know which person sent me the email. I don't know how the name came to my head. I'm going to just email him. Okay. So that's trimming. If you want to show the length, go ahead and do it. 43. Oops. Okay. I do this all the time and then it goes dead on me. And sometimes in the middle of a marking thing, the whole marking goes and then I cry. There. Okay. Okay. So if you want to see the length, nobody stops you. I mean, it's not that, you can just print it out here. Though again, I must mention something. Methods don't print anything. They return values. But if you want to see the length of your name, you can print it out. Yes. Now that's a good question. When you read the if statement, if name length is 0, does that convey enough meaning? Probably not. And to some you will say, oh, length is 0 means there is nothing. If it was me, I would take this 0 and call it something like empty and use the word empty here. That will make more meaning. You can do it locally if you want, but constants can be declared globally without any problem. But if I wanted to use it here, I would just put again the word final. Local variables don't put static. I will call it empty. I would give it a value of 0. And yes, you can do it. There. You can even call it 0 and use 0. You know what I mean? But length is equal to 0 is kind of okay. It's not necessarily a magic number. You know what I mean? Length is 0. It's a common man thing. We all know what length is. Like every human being knows what length is. So length equal to 0, I wouldn't bother a lot about it. But length equal to 50, I would say, oh, why 50? What's this magic number 50? Maximum length allowed. Then is when I will call it a constant. That will make more sense to me. But 0 is very, very clear forward. Length is 0. You know what I mean? It's common. So I wouldn't care to make it a constant. But why 50? Because the user has said you cannot give a name greater than 50 characters. And you can check it. You can add that condition. If the length is greater than 50, you can stop even then. So you are saying And you'll say, why will I do that? Let the name be anything. You're just trying to make it better. And specifically, more importantly, when your data is being saved in a database, which you haven't yet done, in database, the size of your fields is fixed. So if you're asking a name from the user through a web form, you have to restrict it to say 40 characters because you're saving it in 40 characters. Then you will also add that condition. All you will do is add it here while name is empty or whatever and whatever and so on. So is this necessary? Oh, final spelling is wrong. Is this necessary? I wouldn't say yeah, it is necessary for a statement like this, because the statement itself is very obviously clean. Length is 0. But I don't stop you. Do you want to make it local? Do you want to? Why is it complaining now? Oh yes, thank you. I always forget that. My mistake. Byte will do, int will do, short will do. Byte is the easiest. 0 is a small value. Will do. So I'm not, and you should, so what should be a constant? What should not be a constant? Does every number become a constant? You have to kind of think, and it will come with practice. The minimum height, minimum weight, maximum weight. Yeah, they make sense to be constants because they're magic numbers. They make no sense. But if a statement says length is 0, that's quite clean. I wouldn't use a constant. Okay. Should it be local or class? No big deal. Usually constants are at class level so that all the methods can use them. Somebody else needs a 0. Some other method needs a 0. If it's so common, just put it at the head. So, but I've shown you can do it also at local place. Required? Not necessarily. Okay, so you've seen 3 methods. You've seen the trim method of the string class. You have seen the isEmpty method of the string class, and you've seen the length method of the string class. Those are 3 methods. You've already done equals and equals ignore case. But are there only 5 methods in the string class? No, there could be 50. Can I do all 50 in class? No, I cannot. So every time if you have to look for something, look up the string class, open up your help, go through its methods, see if a name makes, and that's the whole thing. See, meaningful names, equals, ignore case, ends with, get the bytes, like index of, where is this character occurring? Look at the names of the methods. They're so meaningful. And that's why I say when you write methods, please give them meaningful names. If these methods were called A, B, C, D, E, F, how difficult it would be to use them. Or the length was called Anju. How in the world would somebody know that Anju is a method for length? That's why it's important that you give meaningful names to your variables and methods. And to your class also. The string class is called string, makes sense. Scanner is called scanner, makes sense. Math is called math, makes sense. So it's not about, oh, why is she forcing us to name variables because she wants them meaningful? The world wants them meaningful. Right? Otherwise, and it's more checking time for me. It's more marking time for me. Why would I want you to comment your code? Because at the end of the day, if you don't comment your code, all this is coming from commenting. Java doc comments. All this help that you see here is coming from commenting. And you can see it in BlueJ also. Vraj, I think, pointed it out when we were using BlueJ. So I haven't written many comments. I just have this method, which is actually a private method, not even a public method. But if you look at the help, all the comments that you're writing there are being translated here, all Java doc comments. So think, if people didn't write comments and there would be no manual, how will you use the file? How will you use the classes? And therefore, I emphasize on writing comments in your code. And so I understand what I'm doing, but I don't understand what you're doing. I know, but I don't. So I keep my eyes and my brain closed when I'm marking your assignment. I'm only thinking what you are giving. So you have to give me everything. So it takes me time to mark comments and types and give feedback. So please, guys, appreciate it and correct it. If you don't like it, I'll stop asking for it. I don't care. Right? You say, I don't know. I'll remove it from my marking scheme. It's less work for me. But then I'm not doing my job honestly. Like if I'm teaching you programming fundamentals, I better teach it well so that when you go to 2 and 3, you don't say that we weren't taught fundamentals correctly. That's my aim. That's why I say comment your code. That's why I give you feedback on commenting. Every mark counts for me. Every comment, I read each and every comment that you write in your code. I read it. Spelling mistakes. You'll notice in your feedback. I've read all the comments. You're making grammatical errors, I point it out. You've missed something, I point it out. Otherwise, I can just look at it. Oh yeah, I see it. And I can give you marks. I don't. I read each and every comment that you write. So I work with me and I can give you what you like. And I'm asking feedback from you so that I can improve things. But not personal feedback, no personal bias. Feedback about the class, okay? Okay, so we've done quite a bit of this. Let's move forward. I want to show you some for loops and so on stuff, right? Anyway, okay, we've done a few fors. Now, simple. It was asked in the exam, if I want to run this program a number of times, all I do is I use a for loop. And this program will run as many number of times as you say. Now here is where I would start using constants. That is where it will make more sense. So suppose I have 20 students in my class and I want to, each one of them, I want to ask their names. It's like buying 5 books or whatever. So I'm going to take this constant instead of, because I don't know, today I have 20, next semester I may have 40, next semester I may have 50. Even a short will do, even a byte will do. Number of students never go beyond 128, at least in our courses. So suppose I'll keep it a low number because the more I write, the more I'll have to run it, right? So now if you want your program to run, say, the number of students times, for is a loop that will kind of work and increment it every time. So this is going to work for 5 times. So a username will be asked 5 times and every time the username will be validated. Look at this now. The validation is being done here in the method. So you ask a name, validate. Ask a name, validate. So you've done that job once and you've called it 5 times already. Right? So number of students is kind of saying, must have forgotten my static again. No, I haven't forgotten static. Oh, n is missing here. So suppose I wanted to ask 5 students their names. This will run for 5 times. Index is a local variable, and do you know its scope? This is the scope of index. Because it is in the for brackets, index can only be used in these lines. I cannot use index outside. I cannot say print the value of index here. I cannot do it. The scope of index is this. That's it, because you declared it inside. So here is, these are called block variables. So you have seen class variables, you have seen local variables, and now you're seeing block variables because it's only available in the block of for. By virtue of declaring it right here. If you had declared it at the local level, then it is available in the whole main method. But because I have declared it in the block of for, it is a block variable. So that's your third type, right? So class, local, and block variables. So if you want to put a note for yourself, just for yourself, you don't have to repeat this in assignments. You don't have to write everything I write, guys, because I am trying to explain things so that you can remember. This information is not required from you to me. I'm okay with it. Okay, I'm more interested in what you're doing in your code. Okay, there. So now this program will run, and it's a good habit to indent your code. So let's indent it. That's a for loop that will run 5 times. If you want to double check why and what, print it out. And again, these are just rough prints. Okay, I'm just kind of doing it for the heck of it. This will show you this loop runs 5 times. It will 1, then it will be 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then it will stop because my number of students is 5. And I hope you remember, though it's been a couple of weeks, this is how it works. Initializes it to 1, checks the condition. If the condition is true, does this. If the condition is false, comes outside the loop. System.out.println. Oh, no, not println, printf. There. Okay, so the loop executes while the condition is true. If you want to see, it will do it exactly 5 times. So this is just for you to see, oh, index will be 1, then it will become a 2, then this is a short form of index is equal to index plus 1. I'm not sure if I've told you this before. Instead of writing index is equal to index plus 1, you can write this. This is called the increment operator. It increments by 1 automatically. Plus plus means go up by 1. Minus minus come down by 1. You can put the plus plus before the variable, after the variable. In some cases, it will be different. It will work differently, but its use is going up, coming down. This program will run for 5 times now. Okay, do you want to check it? Shouldn't be a big deal. Time is short. So I'll try to give good names. Good names means we've already checked that it is validated. So I'm going to give my name as AA. So index is 1. BB, index is 2. CC, 3. DD, 4. EE, 5. Out of the loop. Right? So that's how the for loop works. Index, checks. Condition is true, inside. Goes back, increments the index. Less than 5, so on and so forth. And it will work. And it is working. Just to put on a different line so that it looks neater. That's how a for loop works, guys. Starts with the initial value, checks the condition. If the condition is true, does all this. Goes back automatically. Increments or decrements or does whatever you've said in the third part. Increments by 2, decrements, whatever you've said. And then checks the condition again. If it is true, does it, goes back, does this, does this, does this, and goes back. So initialization is done once, check condition, do, increment or decrement. Check condition, increment, decrement. Check condition, increment, decrement. That's how it works. Okay, but what I'm interested is in showing you more loops. Okay, so let's do something like, oh, just because I'm here. Just for the heck of it. As I said, I can't show you all the 50 methods. I'm just giving a rough figure. If you wanted to see your name all in uppercase, there is a method called to uppercase. And you can print it in uppercase if you like. There is a method called to lowercase. If you want to print all your name in all lowercase. And look at how I call a method. Name of the object dot name of the method. Don't forget that. That's how methods are called. Name of the object dot name of the method. You can't forget that. So name of the object, string, whatever, full name is a string, and the name of the method. That's how methods are called. So if you want to make a point somewhere, you can just put it somewhere wherever you like. Methods are called with wherever, so that you know. That's the syntax. Name of object dot name of method. You can't go wrong. Which method do you want? You will have to kind of look it up yourself. Okay, I just showed you uppercase. Okay, and there is a lowercase also. You could put it in a new variable if you wanted. So many things. Okay, let's do something else. Let's add all even numbers till a particular limit. Now you could ask the user for the limit. I'm kind of concentrating on constants today because that was kind of what was missing in the assignment. I've declared a constant. If you remember, we started with it. It was 11. So I'm saying add all even numbers till the upper limit. So again, I'm going to write a method so that you know how to write methods. So let's call it sum of even number. I know names are long, but you know what? You write it once and then you can copy it everywhere if you like, if you're so lazy. And again, please remember, local variables do not have any value. Local variables have junk, no initial values. They have junk. So you just can't use sum of even numbers and say print sum of even numbers. It's not defined. It has junk in it, right? So it's not defined. If it is something like an object, like this full name, even that has junk. Local variables are not initialized by default automatically. They're not. You have to put in a value before you use them. And how do you do it? Either you ask the user or you assign it something, right? Okay, so I'm going to call a method and I'm going to call it whatever you like, but I'll call it sum even numbers. And I'm saying that sum up all even numbers till the upper limit. And then of course I'll print it out. No printing in methods. Always call a method, get the answer back. Now do whatever you want with it. Print it, eat it, drink it, use it in a computation, throw it away, but no printing in methods unless it's a printing method. You're displaying information, displaying the purpose. Those are printing methods. Otherwise, a method never prints anything. Is empty printing anything? No, it's returning something. Is length printing anything? No, returning you the length. Right? Every method returns something to you. You decide what you want to do with it. And that's exactly what I do. I don't print anything in my methods. I do all my printing in one method where I display everything. Here I'm doing it in main because I'm kind of just doing no connected project. Okay. So I'm going to do a system out printf here again. Copying and pasting is not a good habit at all. And see, I'm going to use this constant again. So it is a sum, it is a percentage D. So what did I do? I called a method which I haven't yet written. I will call a method called sum even numbers and I'll give it a limit. And the aim is I want to add all positive even numbers. So starting from 2, 4, 6, 8 till wherever you tell me. You tell me where till where? Till 11, till 100, till 78. Like you tell me the limit. Now the limit can be read from the user. You can say, you can ask the user for the limit. Today, as I said, I'm concentrating on constants because I feel that you think, oh, constant is declared and that's his job is done. No, you use it wherever you need it, in printing statements, in calling, in ifs, in whiles, everywhere. And the advantage is now this program is running, it will add all even numbers till 11. If I change this 11 to 111, it will add all even numbers till 111. I may want to make a change. And then I'm okay. That's another advantage. It's in a box. So I don't have to make a change here or here. If I was using magic numbers 11, then I would have to make changes at 2 places. Why would I do that? Even if I was using it at 1 place, I would still make it a named constant because named constants give a meaning to what you are using. That's the use of named constant. It's a big thing. Right? Why? Because it makes your program readable. And in the programming world, everybody reads code. I can read code. In a few days, you will be able to read code. So when you work in a project, in a group, you read each other's code. So if you don't write it well, nobody is going to make you a member of their group. They say you're not following naming conventions. You don't know about named constants. You don't know how to call methods. You don't know how to write methods. You'll be out of a job very quickly. So start with the best habits. You'll never lose them. You've heard old habits die hard. So start with the best habits. You'll always be fine. Okay, so we need to write this method. So I'm going to take it from here so that I know what it is called. You can put it anywhere. There. So see, now I don't even have to kind of say, oh, who called it or whatever. I know that it is a private, static. It's going to sum up numbers. till the upper limit, and this upper limit I won't use a constant here. You can pass me any values. You can pass me upper limit. You can pass me a number 53. Like, I'll work for everybody. And you give me a limit and I'll work till that limit. So I'm not restricting it to anything to do with main. So this method, what is the use of this method? Let's write its comments. So this method adds all positive even numbers from 2 to the limit and returns it, and returns the sum. Now to complete these Java doc comments, to complete them, add param. And the param will use this word limit because you can see it. It comes in the definition. You put that name of the variable right here. Oops. You put the name of the variable right here. See here. I've got this from the API. Notice how the signatures are right here. And notice how in your parameters it is using the name of the parameter. And return doesn't use any names. Return just kind of tells you, oh, it's returning true if this is happening, it's returning false if this is happening. That's how you write Java documents. Because these signatures are available, the user can see them. I can see them. I know what prefix is. I know what prefix is. Prefix is this parameter that is coming. But in the return, if you start naming your variables, name, return name, the variable you had called, I don't know what you're saying. The name is quite easy to understand, but I don't know what name is. So we say name of the user or name entered by the user. So in params, you mention the name of the variable and then say what is it? The upper limit. And what does it return? And I can change them. They have to be exactly written like this. If there were more than one params, I would have another param return. The sum of all positive. Notice how I can use the word limit as if it was, here I'll use range or upper number. But I know what I'm kind of putting a different, I could have, limit is a better word, but I can use this word limit. I can use this variable limit because the limit is right here in the signatures and I can see them. And brackets is missing. So it's a good habit, opening, closing together, and then where does it end? So these are complete Java doc comments. Complete. So if this method was public, it would appear here when you see it. It's private method, so it won't appear. But just to show it to you, I'll make it public for a minute. And when I make it public and I kind of save it and I go to Java docs, see, here it is. Here is my method. I can do the same thing that I'm doing in the API. I clicked on it, I came here. These are the signatures of the method. This is the description. This is the parameter. This is what it returns. How did I create these comments? By using Java doc comments. So all that you're seeing in that Java API, somebody put in a lot of time creating Java doc comments. Otherwise, how would you use it? Right? So therefore, you should write comments correctly. Now, Java doc comments is a different thing, but you should write all comments properly because the other comments are for you and me for marking, right? But if you get into the habit of writing Java doc comments, it's kind of okay. Okay, now how will you do it? You tell me. I want to add all the even numbers starting from 2 till the limit, including the limit. I know that even numbers start from 2. That's why. If I didn't know that, then of course I wouldn't be able to write the logic, but I know it. So the first thing, I have to put the sum somewhere. So I'm going to create a local variable and initialize it to 0 because to begin with, the sum is 0. If you don't initialize it, you cannot use it on the right-hand side of an assignment statement. If I forget to initialize it, it has junk, garbage. How can you add something to garbage? Adding something to garbage will give you garbage. Okay, so I initialize it to 0 because when you add numbers, what is the beginning? 0. There is nothing. Okay, now use a for loop. Let's use a for loop. And there are many ways of writing it. We'll start with the easiest. I'm going to take a X. You want to write it this way, write it this way, so that you know it can be done either ways. Oh, yeah, I've already done it. Yeah, no, that was good. So again, what is this magic number 2? You can call it first even number and do it. Yes.
If you do index plus 1, would it not mean that you're going to bring that every number? You want index plus 2 to maintain.
Thank you. Perfectly fine. Thank you. Because even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8. You don't have to go up by 1. You have to go up by 2. Right? So this for loop. So again, if this 2 is a magic number, which I mean, maybe it's okay for us because we know what even numbers are. You can take your constant right here. It's an int or a byte. And it just starts making more sense. And again, you can do it locally, you can do it globally. My preference is doing constants at the class level, but that's my preference. You don't have to do it. But as you read code on the net, you will find that people do declare constants at the class level because it's constant. It's not, I mean, nothing can touch it. And they're just easy to read when they're all together at one place. And the advantage is all methods can use them if required. So if this 2 was required by somewhere else, I won't declare it locally again there. I'll just put this at the class level. So constants are usually declared at class level. That's just a norm. It's not a rule. It's a norm. Okay. So what do we want to do? We want to take the previous value of sum, whatever was in it, add the index to it, and put it back in sum. That's what we want to do. And just again for the heck of it, so that you can see it, I'm going to do a printing here. Just to show you how the index is moving. Okay. Just to show you how the index is moving. The first value of index that should be printed will be 2, then it will be 4, then it will be 6, then it will be 8, then it will be 10, then it becomes 12, but 12 is not in the loop, so it will come out of the loop because your loop is only going till 11. If it was going till 10, good. So it won't add 11 because 12 becomes greater than 11. And of course, at the end of the day, it can be done in other ways, and I will, but I can use a while also to do it. I can also do it using a do while and so on and so forth. Time is short and things are anyway. And it's you could have done it the opposite. You could have started with the limit and gone on till, and I'll do it for you one by one here. Okay, so let's try this. Sum of even numbers till 11. Okay, and sum of even numbers till 11. And let's print it out. Did we print out the result in the main? Yeah, sum of even numbers. Okay. Oh, it will work 5 times. But anyway, it will work 5 times just because of that loop that I had. Any syntax errors? Error found, Control K. Semicolon expected. There you go. Compile again. Okay, no syntax errors. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And let's go. Okay, so what's your name? AA? Uh-oh, percentage N is missing. But notice, index is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And then when it becomes 12, it doesn't go inside the loop. Otherwise, it would have printed it. The printing statement is inside the for loop. And then the sum of even numbers till 11. Oh, okay, something is not right. That's okay. Let's stop. Something is not right. So let's stop the program. Let's go back here. Index is coming out right. So there's no problem with index, except that percentage n was missing. So it's going on the same line. That's an easy fix. The answer is not coming right. Let's go back to the main. Oh, I've said the sum of even numbers till this is what? I haven't shown the answer. The sum of even numbers till this is another answer, percentage d. So what do you want to show? Comma, sum of even numbers. The computer is never wrong. It's always the programmer who's wrong. So I saw my answer. The answer was not showing me the answer. All it was saying was sum of even numbers till 11. Where is the answer? Because I didn't show the answer. Right? So now completed sum of even numbers till it will say 11 because that's my upper limit. It will put a colon and then it will show another sum of even numbers, which I'm assuming is 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 10, 30. It should give me an answer of 30. Let's see if it works. So if you don't write it complete, I mean, it's always the programmer who's wrong. Okay, let's go back. Let's run it. Let's run it. I didn't even clean it. Let me clean my. Okay, much better. Okay, there, let's start. So it will run 5 times, though it will do the same job. So this is the value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, so that's my name. So name is AA because I trimmed it and showed it, and name is capital A because I said show it in all uppercase. Now these values of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are coming from that method. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. What is the sum of even numbers till 11? 30. Then index 2. Why? Because my program is running 5 times. So BB is my name. Of course, the rest will all be the same. Maybe I should remove that for loop because that was just to show you how to run a program more than once. There, it works, right? So the for loop is working. So you don't show all this when you write a program. I'm showing it to you so that you can see what is happening, right? That's all I'm trying to show you. That's how the for loop works. So the initial value of the for loop was 2. So it printed 2 because 2 was less than 11. It went inside the loop. It printed 2. It incremented the value of sum. Then it became 4. Oh, I can use this 2 is also, but this is not the first even number. This is an increment. This 2 is not a bad thing. It's not a constant kind of. Then it went to 4. Is 4 less than 11? It went inside again. Then it became 6. Yes. Then it became 8. Yes. Then it became 10. Yes. Then it became 12. 10 plus 2 is 12. Will it go inside the loop? No. It came out of the loop, gave you the answer. Right? So the for loop works. The same for loop, I can write it this way if you like. Nothing stops you from writing it this way. What am I going to do? Just for the heck of it, I'm going to start with the limit here. Oh, okay. I have to be careful here. I have to be careful here because I don't know what the limit is. Okay, no problem. Good that it has come up. I want to go on till the value of index is greater than or equal to the first even number. Okay, I've written a loop in a different way now to show you that it's not always necessary to increment. You could decrement things. You may not always start with a 1 or a 0. You could start with any number. And your condition, now look at my condition. It starts with 11. Is 11 greater than or equal to 2? So I'm kind of coming down. 11, 9, 7, 8, 5, 3, and 1. But that's not even numbers. I'm doing odd numbers now because I don't know what the value of limit is. It could be 51. It could be an odd number. So to improve, to make my logic correct, this will give me a wrong answer. This is not adding even numbers. This is adding odd numbers because of the limit. If the limit was an even number, then it was okay. If it was 10, I was fine. My answer would be fine. Any even number, it would have been fine. But because it is not even, it will add 11, 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, and 1. I wrote it wrong. How can I improve it? I'll show you how it runs, and then we'll talk about it. Let's comment this one. And I'll have a wrong answer. So all I did was I changed the condition, the beginning value, and this I decremented it. And you'll say, oh, that looks okay. She started with limit. She's every time decrementing it, and then she's stopping at 2, and all she's doing is it adding to the sum. So the answer should be the same. I just reversed my loop. But logically think of it. Your first value is 11. So it starts with 11, and sum is equal to 11 to begin with. And after 11, what will it become? 9. And then 7. And then 5, 3, and 1. That's not adding even numbers. That's adding odd numbers. So the limit could be anything. I don't know what the limit is. So if I wanted to write an independent method, I will have to improve this method. So I'm going to compile it for you, show you why I am wrong, and then you will help me in the next 10 minutes to make it right. Okay, so enter your full name. See, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. That's a wrong answer. Actually, it didn't even go to 1 because I said only till 2. Because I assumed my limit would be even. And you can't assume that. How can you assume something? Input is coming to you. It is your job to check that the limit is an even or an odd number. In the first for loop, I was okay because I was going out of the loop automatically. Even numbers were going +2, +2. And if it was 11 or 13 or 15 or 17, it really didn't matter because it always got beyond it. I'm getting a wrong answer now. It's doing the right job, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3. But all I did was I just reversed the condition. Instead of starting from 2 to limit, I went from limit to 2, but my answer is completely wrong. So my logic is wrong. So how do I check or how do I correct the logic? I can do it very quickly and easily for you. This is what I'll do. I'll say, are you an even number? So if the index remainder 2 is equal to 0, that's an even number. Do you recognize this percentage from your arithmetic operators? It is the modulus operator, and it gives you the remainder. So think about it. Think about it. I take a number index, so it will be 11. 11 divided by 2. What is the remainder? 1. It's not 0, it is 1. Is that an even number? No. So I won't add it. I'll only add those numbers that are even. Now, it doesn't matter what the limit is. My answer will always be right. I put an extra if. So you take you print out the index, but if the index is an even number, then you only add it to your sum. So now I have to check each and every number. Now I have to check each and every number. I can't do -2 here now. I have to say -1. Check each and every number. So start from 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you even? Add. Are you not even? Don't add. Are you even? Add. Are you not even? Add. So look at my if. If the number is even. So you're basically checking if the number is even. Here I've shown you another way of writing it. I'm not saying which is better or which is wrong. I'm just saying there are more than one ways of writing the same code. Okay, so think. Limit is 11. It will print 11 for you. Is 11 modulus 2 equal to 0? No. Remainder is not 0 when you divide by 2. So this will not happen. It will go back. What is the new value of index? 10. Is 10 modulus 2 equal to 0? Yes. It will add it. It will go back. Index becomes 9. Is 9 an even number? No. Won't add it. So I've written the same logic, and this will take more time. Why? The first one was jumping by 2, so it takes half the time. But this logic is bulletproof. Doesn't matter what limit you give me, it will always work. There I'm saying, oh, if the limit is I have to kind of keep in mind, the loop I wrote was start with 2 and end at limit. And I was okay. Here, if I say, no, I want you to do it this way, then this is just a bulletproof method. I mean, doesn't really matter. The same method can be used for odd numbers. Here, instead of equal to 0, I'll say not equal to 0. That will be an odd number. So you'll still have the same result. Let's double check. So that's coming from the last time. Enter your full name, AA. So notice how it is going now, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And my answer is correct. It was 35 before. Now my answer is correct. Because I only added 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2. I stopped at 2 because I know that 2 is my smallest even number, positive even. So I changed the logic. But now I don't have to worry. Give me whatever limit it will always be. Is the limit odd? Is the limit even? Doesn't really matter. So I'm not relying on the loop of how I write the loop. I've written the loop in such a way that it always works. And how did I do that? By adding an extra condition. So yes, this loop will take more time because it is checking every value. Every value checked is checking whether it is an even number or an odd number. There is an extra if, but there can never be a mistake in it. So you'll say, but if I write it this way, even that is correct. Yes, that's absolutely correct. That's perfectly fine. But my aim is to show you can write it in another way. And if you write it in another way, you have to think about it a little. Can I do it using a while loop? Why not? Here, see. Okay, so here what will I do with the while loop is this. I'll take an index. I will have to initialize it myself to 1 or 2 or whatever. Depends on how you're writing it. Then I'll have to say while the value of index is less than or equal to, oh, not let's initialize it to, let's initialize it to first even number. There. While the value of index is less than or equal to limit. What do I want to do? I want to take the old sum and add index to it. And then I have to increment the index up by 2. This is basically a while loop. I'm commenting the rest because they can't all work like, I mean, then you'll have so many answers. I'm only showing you one at a time. This is a while loop, does the same job. So you can always replace a for loop by a while and vice versa. But this is more work. I had to create extra statements. Int index, one statement, incrementing it, another statement. Checking the condition, another statement. Whereas in for, I could put all my 3 conditions together in that for brackets. Initialization, condition, increment was all in one line. Here I had to create 3 lines for it. But it's not wrong, I can do it. So while loops can be written as for loops can be written as while. And for your information, I can also write a do while for it. Just do it opposite way. Just take this loop and write it in an opposite way. We'll do the same thing. I'll say do while. I'll take the here. It's a do while loop now. So comment out this one. And it's doing the same job. So for, while, and do whiles are all iterative statements. They can do the same job. It's just one is easier to understand or write than the other in one situation than the other. But they do the same job. They do a job depending upon a condition. So you'll say, where do I use which one? For, when you know I have to do a job a fixed number of times. Do while and while when it is dependent upon a condition. Right? And this should give you the right answer too. This should give you the right answer too. And thank you for your patience. I have 3 minutes, and in those 3 minutes, I'll run this program for you and show it to you. I know you have a math class. I also have a math class with you. We have a break also. There? 30? Answer is right. Right? So the answer won't go wrong, but you have to just learn that the same job can be done in different ways. A do-while loop, a while loop, a for loop written in one form going down, a for loop written in another form going up. So iterative statements is kind of, so I'm thinking of, because Jared is also doing it, the other teacher for some other class. And we kind of thought about it that students kind of struggle in do, whiles and fors. So to give it a little more practice, I'll kind of give you a take home and you can practice it. But you can always come back and ask me questions in my office hour. Okay, so that's what we've thought, because there's no limit on how much I can do in class. I can devote all my rest of the semester to this, and I cannot. But loops are important. But you have to understand how they work. So if makes a decision once, loops are iterative. And that's another place where students make a mistake. I say validate your age, the student uses an if statement. But remember, the if statement only validates it once. But a while loop will keep on validating it and will force the user to give input till the user is right. So if is a decision-making statement, decides yes or no. Loops are iterative statements. Go on and on and on till you stop them. Right? So we'll stop here because there is no more time. Otherwise, I would have done it, of course. But answers in all cases are right. And I've done it in different ways. And I could actually write it the way I've written it here also with the for loop by doing the math myself. Are you an even number? Are you an odd number? Yes. Okay, so since it has been asked, I don't want to give a lot in one class, but yes, you can write it like this. Edwin is just a step ahead. He's done some more programming. So he says if the same variable occurs on both hand sides, can I kind of combine the operator? Yes, this is called the combined operator. You can write it like this. It's the same like plus plus is same as index is equal to index plus 1. Yes, you can do it. Python doesn't have it, just for information. Okay, I'll put this on Blackboard for you. You will go home and revise it if you like. And you can come back and ask me questions again in my office hours. So this is going in week 9, guys. We are in week 9 now. Yes.
Ma'am, are you free right now, or can we set an appointment with you?
You'll have to come in one of my office hours.